Loretta Burke. I live at 23033 Kensington in Taylor. Can you hear me all right?
A little louder would be great.
Okay. So, I'm not going to be popular here.
It's the other microphone. Is there two there?
Yeah, the smaller.
The smaller one, that one.
Right?
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm not going to be popular here tonight. I just want
It's
to
okay.
say that.
You have a right.
But I've written some things down that were on my heart since our last meeting. And I'm just going to read it because I'm very nervous. I've never spoken in front of you before. I am a wife of the pastor of a Baptist church in Wesleyan. I grew up the youngest of 4 children. My parents were divorced when I was 8 years old. My dad, being an alcoholic, was pretty much absent from our lives unless we pursued that relationship. He was raised in a broken home where his mother entertained mobsters in her speakeasy on the shore of the Detroit River during Prohibition. Well, as a result of this, my dad became an alcoholic before he was even a teenager. They legalized alcohol and then zoned areas that it could be sold. When I was a child, I remember you could not buy alcohol in a supermarket, you couldn't buy it in a gas station, and if I'm not mistaken, you could only buy it in party stores or bars or lounges. After my parents divorced, my dad lived in Detroit, one street off of Burner Highway. If anybody knows what that is, it's not the best of neighborhoods. When us kids went to see my dad, we would have to try to find him in any of the many bars along Burner Highway, eventually finding him in one of them. These zoning laws made it much easier for every alcoholic in the area to stay in a drunken stupor, and that is how I usually found my dad. Now that alcohol is available in almost every venue you can think of, did this improve alcohol abuse? I don't think so. By the time I was a young teenager, my older brother was selling marijuana out of our home. So I'm just saying that because I've been around it. I was around it then. Everyone around me smoked it, and of course, under peer pressure and an absence of direction in my life, I also smoked it. Not only that, I had friends that offered other drugs, telling me how great I feel. Well, it didn't take me long to realize that these drugs, including marijuana, were bad for my physical and mental health. And with the grace of God, I'm sorry I mentioned God's name, but with the grace of God, I was able to put that part of my life behind me. When I became a mother, I realized that I needed to instill in my 2 daughters values that I was not raised with. I taught them to say no to drugs, alcohol, smoking cigarettes, anything that would harm them or become a crutch to them. Most of my life, our society has, for the most part, backed up my position on this subject. And I can't believe what is going on here. Now you want to make marijuana more available in our city. Do we really think that having marijuana more available is going to help the citizens of our city, especially our children? I would think to ask anyone who attends AA meetings what they think making alcohol more available did to help alcoholics. By the way, my dad eventually died an alcoholic.
Ms. Burke?
From alcoholism. I have one more paragraph.
Go ahead.
And
Go
I'll
ahead and
finish.
we're going to call the house and you can come back up after. Is it a short paragraph?
It's a short paragraph. I know that marijuana has been legalized, but just because it's legal doesn't mean we need to make it easier for people to use it. Our children are at stake here. Parents that use it will use it in their homes. I have children in my Sunday school class that come on our bus that talk about their parents smoking marijuana in their home with the children present. How do you think this will affect them, not just now, but later in life? I think this is a bad idea for our city, and I don't want it here. I have been a Taylor taxpayer for the past 36 years, and I say no.
Thank you, Ms.
Let it go on the ballot and let the voters vote on it. I will vote no.
Thank you, Ms. Birkin. Thank you for coming up, we really appreciate that.
Good evening, council members. My name is Kurt Molino. I'm born and raised in Trenton, Michigan. I've been a developer for the last 35 years, and I got involved in the cannabis industry about 5 years ago. It started out before that when I had a brother that had Lou Gehrig's disease. The University of Michigan put him on a medical marijuana pill to keep his calorie intake up and his stress level down. And I was his caregiver. I had to do everything for him, get him out of bed, brush his teeth, put him in bed, you name it. After that, we said, you know what, there is a benefit out there for medical marijuana. So my brothers and I got together and we started caregiving because that was the only thing that was available in 2008. But I'll be honest with you, I felt like a drug dealer then because it was mostly black market and it was not helping medical patients. When Public Act 281 got passed years later, we got back into business. We came up with the name Kinship. Kinship's about family, it's about community acceptance, tolerance, and destigmatizing. Some of the comments that were made today, I would like to answer. For instance, there's already 500 stores in the state of Michigan. They brought in $1 billion worth of revenue in the first 6 months. They expect it to be $2 billion by the end of the year. We hire local people to build these buildings, brand new facility. I was one of the applicants that's been accepted, number one, 100% in Westland, which is a co-located where we can grow, process, and provide on the same property. We're only going to grow and provide. That's a $6 million investment, brand new buildings on a site that had oil spill, tires on it, buried concrete. So we're taking and redeveloping these beautiful sites. They also have what's called a CBA, which is a Community Benefits Act, that every year we have to give so much money back to the city so they can use it to their benefit, along with renewal fees to the state of Michigan, to the cities. Most communities and most owners in this industry are going to drop the medical license because we have to pay for both. And it makes more sense just to have the adult users come in. If they have a medical card, we give them 10% off. Because otherwise they have to pay a 10% excise tax. So we make sure if they got a card, they don't have to pay extra. It's a wonderful investment. You can control it by doing overlays of certain areas. You can also amend it later on to add more. If you say it's going good, I wouldn't open it up to a dozen. This is a race to the bottom. Monroe's going to fail. A lot of these people in those buildings are going to go back to being garbage. Get out in front of it now. Control it. Start small. Maybe put it in I-2 is for starting out. And you can even limit the amount of numbers. But this brings in an enormous amount of people from other communities. I personally don't want to drive a half hour to River Rouge or to Monroe to pick up medicine or adult use. You can't even come into the store unless you're 21. And I feel for all the people about the children. That's why we don't put them near schools or daycares or churches. This is an adult thing. You have to make up your mind that you're an adult, just like drinking and driving. I think it's wonderful if you guys could come up with an ordinance. Start small. If it looks good, you can always amend it later. But let's get it in here. These citizens have voted it. It's been 3 years. I was working with the last administration. We actually purchased 2 wonderful properties in an industrial zone in hopes to be one of the applicants that get approved. We spent $1 million on 2 properties. We're paying taxes and they're sitting there empty. We're dying to invest in the city. We're local people. We want to bring in local people to run it. And as far as wages, we pay our people minimum start out at $15 an hour as a bud tender. And they get tips.
Mr. Marino?
Yes.
So unfortunately your time is
That
up.
was 3 minutes.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
But anyway,
Thank you so much.
that was really informative. Thank you very much. So right now, how many stores do you have?
Just one, but we got one in Westland we're going to develop.
Okay, so how long have you been working on the one in Westland to try to get in?
Well, because of COVID and the lawsuit, it's been delayed, but we got site plan approval. We're putting in by September 15th. We have full building set going in, so we'll be breaking ground this year.
So from the beginning, when did you first apply? So how long was this process in Westland?
You know, they had like 60 days to review. They had 35 applicants, And for us, we applied for medical and adult grow, medical and adult store. So that's 4 licenses, and it was $5,000 per license plus $5,000 application fee. They had $550,000 worth of applicants. 5 people got it. 3 in co-located groups and 1 on the south side of Ford Road, 1 on the north side in commercial.
So you're one of the ones that did get it?
Yes, we were the only one who got 100 out of the application. They let people go back and have a second try. They had like 92.
Okay, we did have someone come up to us and do a presentation from Westland, their attorney. And the way that I remember it was that there were 30 applicants, somewhere around there. They were awarded 7 licenses and 23 people sued. Okay, and the litigation has been going on all the way to the Court of Appeals, and injunctions have been filed.
Yes.
And so, I understand the money, what you're talking about, the influx of money, but all of those lawsuits cost money to defend, win or lose. And that all the way to the Court of Appeals, times 23, times all the steps in place, is a lot of money.
So you gotta make sure you have a good selection and good application process.
Any selection process causes litigation.
Big companies are probably gonna sue no matter which way it goes. If you don't have.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, so be ready.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Johnson?
Do you know of any facilities open in Westland right now?
No, we do not.
And there isn't.
There isn't now, but they're getting ready. Everybody, was waiting on COVID and on the lawsuit, because they paused it. I couldn't even work with the engineering